Hello everyone, welcome to the Lost World Museum. We have a show and tell of, if you can see it in the title somewhere there, of stone and fossil, and I'm going to submit to you as evidence of a worldwide global flood as opposed to the long ages that have been placed in front of us for the last 200 years as the solution and the truth about the geological record. The geological record meaning the layers that we see interspersed throughout the world, called the geological column. And by the way, you may find it interesting that the geological column is not complete anywhere in the world. What that means is that sections of these you will find in various places around the world, but there is never a place where you see them go from bottom to top. I think that's interesting. You know, if we were in a court of law trying to figure out, or just sitting around trying to figure out who done it, we would take these pieces and we would assemble them and then reassemble them and then reassemble them until we figured out just exactly who done it. And the interesting thing is that the same evidence that can be used to prove evolution can also be used to show the logic, reasonableness of creationism. Now, I don't know if you call any of these proof, because when it all boils down to it, it really does matter, or it really boils down to which one you believe. And some would obviously disagree with that. They say it's evidence-based, fact-based. That's where I get my truth from. Okay. We are biased by nature. We have worldviews that are behind what we believe, and those play a very powerful part of interpreting the data. Let's look at some of the data, okay? Now, I may give you two interpretations for the data. Thank you very much, James. I appreciate it, and welcome back. You may get two interpretations, and I'll try to be fair about this. Now, I'm biased. I'm a young Earth creationist, and some really don't like that. That's okay. When I grew up as a evolutionist, so to speak. Not that I was a card-carrying, chest-thumping evolutionist. No, just what we learned in school. That's all. Okay, I'm going to start with a dinosaur print. And we're going to talk about this, and I'm just going to give you one very interesting point about it. Now, this track was taken, now this is not the original track, this is a copy of the track taken by an evolutionary paleontologist in the Paluxy River in Glen Rose, Texas, when we had that drought a few years back. And they were able to get to some. And they made these tracks and they sold them at the Dinosaur Valley Park store, and we snatched 3 of them. This is the smallest of the one, but that's not important. What is important is that what this represents. Now, if in fact limestone takes a long time to form, and limestone is like cement, okay? If you get an idea as far as how long it takes for cement to solidify. You know, the only thing I don't know, and I got to find out, how long does cement take to solidify when it's underwater? I know they have underwater cement, but these are in limey mud. There is no, if little, water above it, and it had to harden at some point before it deteriorated. You get what I'm talking about? Before it deteriorated the print itself. So now kind of we're like, putting our investigator cap on. We're asking the question, was there a lot of water over this? Was there a little bit of water over this? Or was there like exposed, still wet? How do you get this enough limestone that's pliable if in fact limestone takes a very long time to form? Look it up. I'm not kidding. Look, evolution may have a very plausible answer for this. I don't know what the answer is. If the worldwide flood actually took place, and Every day, huge amounts of sediment is being moved. And I'm not talking local, man. You look at some of these plates or some of these formations, and they cover hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of miles, however thick. These things were rolling back and forth over a good period of time while everything is in chaos. Everything is trying to get to higher ground. I have seen dinosaur tracks. You ready for this? In the same area, 13 inches. I measured it. How in the world do you get, and I'm just going to switch limestone to cement just for a second, just for the sake of discussion. How do you get at least 13 inches of limey cement limestone in an area where you can sink down into it, come back up, not have it deteriorate? I know you guys have all been to a beach. You know what happens with sand, right? Not have it deteriorate, harden, and then preserved. Whether it be 65 million years or 4,000 years, it's been preserved for us to be able to, when the layers were uplifted by the swell of the river at times, when it's very violent, that's what happens. You get the exposure of layers underneath, and this is where they discovered this stuff right around the turn of the 20th century. If evolution is true, I don't know how you can have 13 inches of limestone, fresh, like cement, ready to receive a footprint, and then harden very quickly and then preserved. If everything is running in slow motion, and even if things are running in a catastrophic sense, does that still account for the accumulation and the creation of 13 inches of limestone? Just an idea. All right. The fast formation of rock, necessary if it's a worldwide flood 4,500 years ago. Has to be. So you look for evidences of that. Your premise isn't the rock. The premise is it 4,500 years ago or 320 million, 65 million years ago? Which is it? Because, when Lyell and his crew came up with this was something that was stewing for a little bit. 1830 was when his book came out. And James Hutton before that, 1788. That's the time where it all started, where they questioned Moses and his timetable and came up with an alternative that didn't talk about God. He did talk about design a little bit. There was still that vestige within the culture that stated that there was a God and there was church and there was the Bible, and they couldn't completely ignore it. At least, Hutton didn't. But still in all, it was all naturally done in a long period of time with slow progression or change. If that's the case, and we're talking about fossilization, fossils have to form fast, very, very quickly. And rock has to form relatively quickly. And I'm talking about not granite. I'm talking about the sedimentary rock like coal, slate, limestone, sandstone, okay? Those type of stone. Look at this for a second. That is fossilized raindrops. Fossilized raindrops. How do you get a raindrop to fall and then preserve it? If the mechanism of the worldwide flood, the characteristic of it, of the entire experience of all the things that are going on at the same time, like a concert, okay, is rapid deposition and rapid formation of rock and fossilization, then we would see evidences of it. Now, can this be explained by evolution? I'm sure it can. You bet. They can't shy away from evidence like this. But I'm assembling everything in such a way that is demonstrating the two things you need for a worldwide flood. You need rapid deposition, rapid rock formation, and rapid fossilization, and everything is not that old. So, evidence number 2, fossil raindrops. All right. We see that rock can form quickly in today's economy, so to speak. But it's under certain conditions. It just doesn't form. You have to have certain conditions, and typically water, the right type of minerals, and a lot of times heat. Now, in a worldwide flood context, you have a lot of volcanism going on. Volcanoes are exploding. There's a lot of heat involved. Maybe there's heat generated from the earth, but volcanism is going to make things really, really hot. All right. So a combination of what may be heating up under the earth, and also, as it's coming up out of the earth, that is, the water came down, but it also came up at the same time. It's filling the earth. You've got this global tank of water and sediment, just in huge miles of it, just going around. You got the moon that is moving these tides in 12 hours, 24 hours, back and forth, as these things are exploding, settling down, and just accumulating. Animals trying to find higher ground, humans trying to find higher ground. The things that were at the bottom of the geological chart here are the trilobites and the mollusks and the what they call primitive animals. Of course they are. They're going to get buried first. So, this is not time. This is classification and the worldwide flood. These things are getting buried. Mammals are going to get buried before a fish is in a worldwide flood. They're going to know to go higher ground. So when we look for evidence today that we believe meets the criteria of the worldwide flood, then some of these things can make sense. This right here is an egg cup. And I'm waiting for a normal egg cup. I just ordered it in order to be able to compare it. I'll do a video on this. This egg cup sat under a mineral bath. No problem with that. And anybody who sees it will say a couple of things. Number one, oh, isn't that cute? I want to put this on my shelf. It's beautiful. It sparkles. Can't see the sparkles well here on camera. And it's just interesting. Others would say, ooh, this is evidence of a worldwide flood, in the sense that those were the conditions, or inside the caves that we see, that we assign millions and hundreds of thousands of years for the cave to form, of calcite. And we can see if there's a lot of water in those caves, which nobody says except for a creationist, suggests that, then we see these formations happen quickly with a lot of water. All we're seeing now today is drip, 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 drip. And even the drip, 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 the amount of accumulation, I believe, is a little bit faster than what they're saying. These big stalactites and stalagmites were created over the course of hundreds of thousands of years with the drip, drip, drip. Got news for you. Those large stalactites and stalagmites are created by large amounts of water. The float stone that we see that's huge on the sides of the wall, it's created by large amounts of water, not drip, drip, drip. Yes, we can see a stalactite and stalagmite and flow stone, all created by drip, drip, but it's small, it's thin, it's spindly. It's not, that's only 40, 50 years, John. Come on, give it a million years and it's going to look big. All right, that's fine. But I'm showing you this is that this only took somewhere around 5 to 6 weeks to accumulate the amount of calcite material in and it is a little bit falsy. There's water spraying on this. And that's why it only took 5 to 6 weeks. If this only took 5 to 6 weeks, how long does it take to those caves to form those stalactites and stalagmites, especially if you add the idea that there was large amounts of water in there? Hundreds of years, 1,000 years? You don't need that long in order to form them. But if we look at them today, it looks as if it's just formed by a drip drip. But again, you're biased in this idea that the geological columns and the fossils are hundreds of thousands, hundreds of million years old. Whereas the creationist says, no, they're 4,500 years old and happened very quickly. Take a look at this fossil shrimp. How quickly does it take to fossilize an animal like this? Look how its delicate parts are not touched at all by decay or anything. Nothing. They state that this is 163 million years. Not that it took 163 million years to form, but look on the internet. You'll find that it's somewhat ambivalent, but also the majority says, and they'll say it in kind of sweeping statements in between the facts that they show you, that it took hundreds of thousands, that it took thousands of years or hundreds of thousands of years for the minerals to replace in petrification of animals. I know we hear that word for wood, but petrification means it's completely stone. Every single, life particle in it has been replaced by stone particle. I'm thinking not. And I think Mr. Shrimp thinks not also. You need rapid fossilization, and this right here, it indicates, suggests rapid fossilization. Take another look at that. Delicate shrimp. All right. What about whole body fossilization? Well, we got something here, a little bit harder to see. But that right there, friends, is not a smushed, like you normally see fossil of a fish. There's the head right here. And maybe you can see its scales. This is a fossil 3D fish. Have you ever seen a dead fish on this, come up on shore or in the water? They don't last very long. Something like this, again, has to be buried quickly and under the right conditions in order for it to fossilize. If I was to take a fish and just bury it, it's the likelihood of it. Matter of fact, they did something like that where they took a bunch of catfish, put them in a cage, and then put it down at the bottom of a muddy. I think it was a dam or something like that they put them down, and they brought it back up. I think it was 6 days later, and there was nothing left of the fish. It didn't do nothing. It didn't do anything, and so this has to be fossilized quickly, buried quickly, fossilized quickly. Again, worldwide flood would do that. Now, we were talking about cave formation, calcite formation. Well, here's a leg of a table that was in a cave where cave formation stuff was going on. That is the leg of the table, and this is the calcite limestone-like material that formed around it. Now, is this a 1,000-year-old table? Hardly. It's probably 100 years old, if not even younger than that. And look how much material accumulated. This is rock, friends. This is the same kind of thing you see in various formations throughout the world. We're talking about alluvial rock. How fast is that? And this is going to be one of my last ones here. This is one of my favorite ones. In Karlovy Vary in the Czech Republic, these mittens were put in hot springs. Hot springs, just hot water with minerals in it, and they just soak them. And, a month or two later, these come out. And these are permineralized. Now, I haven't cut them open, but they are saturated through and through. You ready? I don't do this often. Do those sound like coated mittens? These aren't coated. These are coated all the way through. What does this prove? Does this all prove that there was a worldwide flood 4,500 years ago? For some, it may be the time where they can at least go, I'm going to have to look into this a little bit further. For those who are dyed in the wool one way or the other, that's where you may remain. But I invite those who have never read the account itself, check it out. The Bible's free online. Read chapters 6 and 7 of the book of Genesis. And then when you get done, that's the flood account. Noah's Ark, the building of it, the dimensions, how it all went down. Once you get done with it, just sit back, ask the question, is this true or is it not true? That's really what the bottom line is here.